Yeah. Yeah. Radical public hearing. Yeah. Thing on the outside.
Thank you.
It's 7 o'clock. It's time to start our July 5th City Council meeting. Janine, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Rath?
Here.
Mr. Ryan?
Here.
Mr. Barker?
Here.
Ms. Blind? Here. Mr. Shu?
Here.
Mr. Harris?
Here.
Mr. Hauser?
Here.
Mr. Labutus?
Here.
Mr. Lang?
Present.
Mr. Marmy?
Present.
We're all here tonight. Would you stand for the invocation by Mr. Hauser and then remain standing for the pledge of allegiance?
Let us pray. Or as we wrap up 4th of July celebrations across this country, we want to take a moment to thank you for blessing us all residing in a country that has the freedoms that we enjoy. I want to thank you for all the people that have laid down their lives to preserve that freedom. Thank you for that and for their sacrifice, and thank you for their families as well. As we start our meeting this evening, I pray that you would just watch over us here, help us to move the city of Newark forward, and that we would do your will. And it's your son's name we pray.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next on the agenda is caucus. That's time for council to discuss on the agenda. Do we have anything tonight, Mr. Marmy?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, motion to excuse Mr. Ellington.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Marmy, second by Mr. Hauser. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
That passed.
Next is the minutes of the June 2023 meeting. Appointment. We need to make a motion. Yeah, motion approved by Parker, second by Labutus. Favor.
Aye.
Next is appointments. There are none this meeting. Reports of standing committees, finance, service, economic development, capital improvements. Without objection will be received and filed. Reports from city officials, there are none this meeting. Under communications, Captain David Guest, U.S. Army National Guard dedication ceremony for the First Lieutenant James G. Miller at the Armory, July 13th at 1 p.m. 1297 Holler Lane in North Ohio. Next up on the agenda, we have two public hearings tonight. The first one is 23-07. Janine, you want to read hearing, please?
Ordinance number 23-07 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Barker, and Mr. Marmy. An ordinance changing the zoning classification of certain real property generally described as 882 Wyatt Avenue, City of Newark, Licking County, Ohio. Parcel tax ID number 054-226-500-00.0000 from that of single family residence RH high density district to MFR multifamily residence district zoning code of the City of Newark, Ohio.
You've heard the reading of the public hearing. Is there anybody here to speak for or against this public hearing? For or against, nobody. Before Jenny reads it again, the planning commission is recommend that this is not passed. And so just want to throw that out to council. So did you please call or read the public hearing?
Ordinance number 23-07 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Parker, and Mr. Marmy, an ordinance changing the zoning classification of certain real property generally described as 882 Wyatt Avenue, City of Newark, Licking County, Ohio. Parcel tax ID number 054-226-500-00.00.000 from that of single family residence RH high density district to MFR multifamily residence district zoning code of the City of Newark, Ohio.
Okay, you've heard the reading of public hearing.
Mr. President,
Mr. Rat,
make a motion to adopt 23-07.
got a motion to adopt by Mr. Rapp, second by Mr. Parker. Janine, will you please call it?
Mr. President,
Yeah.
we have an opportunity to speak in this.
Sure.
Thank you. This was recommended to not pass as by the planning commission. For that reason, I am not going to be supporting this ordinance. I'll be voting no. And I encourage all my fellow council members to follow suit as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Rapp.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, this, I will not be supporting it either. Petition was circulated with, I believe, 95 signatures asking that this not pass from the community there. So I will not be.
Anybody else? Okay, Janine, please call it.
Mr. Rath,
No,
Mr. Raleigh,
No.
Mr. Barker,
No.
Ms. Blind,
No,
Mr. Shute,
No.
Mr. Harris,
No.
Mr. Hauser,
No.
Mr. Labutus,
No.
Mr. Lang,
No.
Mr. Marmy.
No.
Okay, that was defeated 10-0. Next on the agenda is another public hearing, 23-08. Can you please read the hearing?
Ordinance number 23-08 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Barker, Mr. Marmy, and Ms. Blind. An ordinance changing the zoning classification of certain real property generally described as 281 Elmwood Avenue, City of Newark, Licking County, Ohio, parcel tax ID number 054-278-850-00.00.000 from that of single family residence RH high density district to TFR two family residence district zoning code of the City of Newark, Ohio.
Is anybody here to speak for or against this public hearing? Yes, sir. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Jason Angus. I live at 901 West Main Street. I am the owner of this property, 281 Elmwood. We own the two properties next to it as well, which we are just in the last year that we've owned the three properties. We've already stuck over $60,000-$70,000 just in those. So we haven't even hardly touched 281 yet. And we're wanting to turn it into two bedroom instead of 1 3-bedroom, just to provide more housing for the community. So I would finally ask the council to pass this.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else to speak for or against? Okay. Can you please read 23-08 again?
Ordinance number 23-08 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Barker, Mr. Martin, and Ms. Blind. An ordinance changing the zoning classification of certain real property generally described as 281 Elmwood Avenue, City of Newark, Licking County, Ohio, parcel tax ID number 054-278-850-00.00.000 from that of single family residence RH high density district to TFR two family residence district zoning code of the City of Newark, Ohio.
Thank you. The planning commission has recommended that we pass this, council, so just letting you guys know, do we have Mr. Rapp, you know?
Sure. I can make a motion to adopt 23-08.
second,
Motion by Mr. Rapp, second by Ms. Vaughn. Have any discussion? No.
I just want to say thank you for investing in the neighborhood.
Anybody else? Janine, please call the roll.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Raleigh,
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
Ms. Blind,
yes,
Mr. Shute,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes,
Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
that passes 10-0. Next up on the agenda is comments from citizens. You got two opportunities. This is first. We ask you to keep your comments around 3 minutes. So we have anybody tonight? Okay, next up is ordinance on the second reading. There are none this meeting. Next is ordinance on the first reading, 23-17.
Ordinance number 23-17 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Parker, Ms. Blind, Mr. Labutus, and Mr. Marmy. An ordinance changing the zoning classification of certain real property generally described as 235 East Main Street, City of Newark, Licking County, Ohio. Parcel tax ID number 054-2051160.00.000 and parcel tax ID 054-204-636.00.000 from that of single family residence RH high density district to MB medium intensity business district zoning code of the city of Newark, Ohio.
23-17 will be referred to the planning commission and back to council on October the 2nd. Next is 23-18.
Ordinance number 23-18 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Barker, Ms. Blind, Mr. Labutus, and Mr. Marmy. An ordinance changing the zoning classification of certain real property generally described as 1975 Cherry Valley Road, City of Newark, Licking County, Ohio, parcel tax ID number 054-216-642.00.000 from that of single family residence RH high density district to MFH multifamily high rise district zoning code of the city of Newark, Ohio.
This too will be referred to the planning commission and be back to us on October the 2nd. Next is resolution 23-19.
Ordinance number 23-19 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Parker, Ms. Blind, Mr. Labutus, and Mr. Marmy. An ordinance changing the zoning classification of certain real property generally described as West Main Street, City of Newark, Licking County, Ohio. Parcel tax ID number 054-216-636.00.000 from that of GC General Commercial District to MFH multifamily high rise district zoning code of the city of Newark, Ohio.
This too will be referred to the planning commission and back to council on October the 2nd. Next is resolution 23-20.
Ordinance number 23-20 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Barker, Ms. Blind, Mr. Labutus, and Mr. Marmy. An ordinance changing the zoning classification of certain real property generally described as Thornwood Drive, City of Newark, Licking County, Ohio, parcel tax ID number 054-216-654.00.000 from that of GC General Commercial District to MFH multifamily high rise district zoning code of the city of Newark, Ohio.
This too will be referred to the planning commission and back to council on October the 2nd. Next is 23-21.
Ordinance number 23-21 by Mr. Marmy, Mr. Barker, Mr. Shute, Mr. Labutus, and Mr. Rath. An ordinance creating a downtown Newark tax increment financing incentive District 1 and downtown Newark tax increment financing District 2, declaring improvements to the parcels within the incentive districts to be a public purpose and exempt from real property taxation, requiring the owners of those parcels to make service payments in lieu of taxes, establishing a municipal public improvement tax increment equivalent fund for the deposit of those service payments, specifying the public infrastructure improvements to be made that directly benefit the parcel and declaring an emergency.
This is an emergency, but it will be held
Mr.
until.
President,
Yes.
make a motion to adopt 23-21. I know what I'm doing.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Marmy,
Second.
second by Mr. Lane,
Mr. President,
Mr. Marmy.
I make a motion to table 23-21 to a date specific of July 17th, 2023. Second.
So we got a motion by Mr. Marmy, second by Mr. Lane, the table. 23-21 until July 17th.
Yeah, so the reason for the tabling is this is a timing issue that we have to have a public hearing before we can vote. And also the Newark State Schools has to vote, so that's why it's being tabled, is to make sure that we time it correctly. It will still need the emergency, but we need to wait until certain steps happen before this. That's the reason for the table.
So we are going to vote on tabling this until July 17th. So Jenny, please don't vote.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Shute,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes,
Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
that passes 10-0, and that'll be held until July 7th. Next up is resolution 23-22.
Ordinance number 23-22 by Mr. Barker, Mr. Labutus, Mr. Rath, and Mr. Marmy. An ordinance amending portions of the current articles of the zoning code of the city of Newark, Ohio, adopted May 5th, 2009 by ordinance 08-33A and implementing additional articles of the zoning code of the city of Newark, Ohio.
This will be held until our next meeting, which would be Monday, July 17th. Next up is the resolutions on the second reading, 23-54.
Resolution number 23-54 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Barker, Mr. Labutus, and Mr. Marmy, a resolution authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service of the City of Newark, Ohio to apply for, accept, and enter into a water supply revolving loan account agreement on behalf of the City of Newark for planning, design, and/or construction of lead service line replacement project number 4 and designating a dedicated repayment source for the loan.
You've heard the reading of 23-54. What is your wish?
Mr. President,
Mr. Rath,
make a motion to adopt 23-54.
Second.
motion by Mr. Rath, second by Ms. Blind. Do we have any discussion? Janine, please call the roll.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Shute,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
Resolution 23-54 passes 10-0. Next up is resolution 23-56.
Resolution number 23-56 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Labutus, Mr. Barker, and Mr. Marmy. A resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service for the City of Newark, Ohio to enter into a lease agreement with Strong Tower Christian Media.
You've heard the reading of 23-56. What is your wish?
Mr. President,
Mr. Rath,
excuse me, make a motion to adopt 23-56.
Second.
I've got a motion by Mr. Rath, second by Mr. Labutus. Do we have any discussion? Janine, please call the roll.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Shute,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes,
Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
that passes 10-0. Next up is resolution 23-57.
Resolution number 23-57 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Labutus, Mr. Barker, Mr. Shute, Mr. Marmy, and Mr. Ryan. Resolution authorizing the conveyance of certain real property now owned by the City of Newark, Ohio to Newark Development Partners as its agent for industrial, commercial distribution and research.
You've heard the reading of 23-57. What is your wish?
Mr. President,
Mr. Rath,
make a motion to adopt 23-57.
second. Got a motion by Mr. Rath, second by Mr. Barker. Do we have any discussion? Janine, please call the roll.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Shute,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes,
Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
23-57 passes 10-0. Next up is 23-59.
Resolution number 23-59 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Marmy, Mr. Labutus, Mr. Ryan, Mr. Barker, Mr. Shute. A resolution implementing sections 3735.65 through 3735.70 of the Ohio Revised Code establishing and describing the boundaries of a community reinvestment area in the City of Newark, Ohio, and related authorizations.
You've heard the reading of 23-59. What is your wish?
Mr. President,
Mr. Rath,
make a motion to adopt 23-59.
Second.
got a motion by Mr. Rath, second by Mr. Barker. Any discussion? Can you please call the roll?
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Shute,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes,
Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
resolution 23-59 passes 10-0. Next up is resolution 23-60.
Resolution number 23-60 by Mr. Marmy, Mr. Barker, Mr. Shute, Mr. Labutus, and Mr. Rath. A resolution authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service to negotiate and enter into a contract without competitive bidding for the purchase of body worn cameras within the Division of Police and declaring an emergency.
You've heard the reading of 23-60. What is your wish?
Mr. President, Mr. Marmy, make a motion to adopt resolution 23-60.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Marmy, second by Mr. Lang. Any discussion? Janine, please call the roll.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Shute,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes,
Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
23-60 passes 10-0. Next up is 23-62.
Resolution number 23-62 expedite by Mr. Marmy, Mr. Barker, Mr. Labutus, and Mr. Rath. A resolution appropriating monies for current expenses of the municipal corporation.
You've heard the reading of 23-62. What is your wish?
Mr. President,
Mr. Marmy,
make a motion to waive the 2-day reading rule on resolution 23-62.
Second.
got a motion by Mr. Marmy to waive the 2-day reading rule, second by Mr. Lang. Janine, please call a roll.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Shute,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
The 2-day reading rule has been waived. What is? Mr. Marmy?
Yes, make a motion to adopt resolution 23-62.
Second.
Got a motion to adopt by Mr. Marmy, second by Mr. Lang. Do we have any discussion? Janine, please call a roll.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Shute,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
23-62 passes 10-0. Next up is 23-63.
Resolution number 23-63 by Mr. Marmy, Mr. Barker, Mr. Labutus, and Mr. Rath. A resolution appropriating monies for current expenses of the municipal corporation.
23-63 will be held until our next meeting, July 17th. And our last one in the evening is 23-64.
Resolution number 23-64 by Mr. Shute, Mr. Labutus, and Mr. Rath. A resolution appropriating monies for current expenses of the municipal corporation.
23-64 will be held until our next meeting to July 17th. Next up is comments from citizens. Do we have anybody like try to keep your comments to 3 minutes? Go ahead. You had your hand up first. Come on up.
Rochelle Bullen Smith, 237 Violet Court. I'd like to bring up the topic of the playground that is situated by Route 16, close to downtown and the churches and that sort of thing. It's being an unsafe place to put a playground in terms of fumes, as well as possible catastrophe by collision. And I don't know whether you've had a chance to review some of the sources that I suggested for funding a better replacement for some of our parks. So I did want to bring that up again, as well as putting in more safety lights for the disabled, sound and light for blind and hearing impaired. I think it's a reasonable thing to do. It's necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Dana Crawford, 163 South Second Street. I'll be very brief. Sure, some of you may have seen a report yesterday in the news that Monday apparently was the hottest recorded day, I guess, in human recorded history, which is crazy to think about. And I think about that as I went down around the square, and because someone had thought, I heard a rumor that none of the water fountains were working. I don't know if this question's been answered before. I can't remember if it has. But, and I know why they haven't been turned on yet completely, because at the store, we haven't turned them on since the pandemic has started, because they've been off for a while and they're like, it has something to do with the pipes. But I think as a public safety issue, I think hopefully there is a plan in place to get the water fountain turned back on. So, or at least it gets, maybe replace the water fountain or something, because I know, once again, a pipe issue with them being off for as long as they have. So, either way, that's what I wanted to bring up. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? City officials? Wall director?
Yes, thank you.
Mayor?
I will pass this evening. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Rath.
Thank you, Mr. President. First off, I would like to say kudos to a variety of people. Over this weekend, we had an awful lot of rain in a very, very short period of time, which actually happened twice, 2 different time frames. The development on Cherry Valley Road, with all the, on that hillside, with all the dirt and everything, there's some serious flooding issues that came down across Cherry Valley into the residents across the street. It's not a pretty sight, and certainly an inconvenience, costly inconvenience to the residents there. Steve Lehman is the developer on the property, but I called him, he was out there in less than 30 minutes. Responding and surveying the area and he was able to get a flood and fire restoration company out there right away. To dry out the guy's basement and clean it out. And it was funny because the next day he called him and asked him if he were warranting his work. Because the same flood happened again. So he had to come out and do it a second time. But Steve was great getting out there right away. He had Gerard Layton out there, who's the owner of Layton Excavating, working on resolutions to prevent that from happening and prevent the severity of it. Brian Moorhead had to make phone calls to him on a Sunday to get permission to do some things up there. And he was very responsive. Then Buster Prince was also out there over the weekend and on Monday and provided a great response as well. So it was funny that one of the residents asked me, so you're my city councilman, what do you need to be? And I said, absolutely nothing, but I know the right people to call. And I certainly did. And they showed up in force and did a great job and very timely. And the residents were very, very satisfied. Although irritated and annoyed with what happened, very satisfied with the response to them. So kudos to them. And then I'll call a service committee meeting for July 17th. With that, I'll pass.
Thank you, Mr. Rath. Mr. Wright.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I was going to say, hopefully everyone had a great Independence Day. I like to say 4th of July, but I mean, it is our Independence Day, so I mean, I like to drive that one home. And then thank you, sir, for the reinvestment on Elm Street. It's needed. And with that, I'll pass.
Thank you. Mr. Barker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll pass.
Ms. Blythe.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the Ohio Historical Society. I've been speaking with them about securing the entrances of mound builders, as often activities there at night tend to spill over into the neighborhoods. And so they have installed one security gate at the Cooper entrance. And when that thing is locked, it makes a great improvement in the neighborhood. And I'm grateful for that. And I'm looking forward to the 21st Street gate going up as soon as they can get funding for it. So again, thank you to the Ohio Historical Society. And I'd like to thank property maintenance. There was an issue and they reached out to me about maybe getting some community help. And the community came together and helped someone who was in need. And it was a pretty difficult problem, but within a couple days, everything was taken care of. And so 2 of them were here. So thank you with that.
Thank you, Mr. Shi.
Mr. President, I'll pass.
Pass. Mr. Hauser.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just one thing, I sent a note to BJ Barner about putting a no outlet sign on a street that someone requested to be done. I think I sent it to him in the evening. The next morning I got an email that it was done, so I just really appreciate his timeliness. He did say, don't always expect that speed. But I just appreciate him being timely, so with that, I'll pass.
Thank you, Mr. Lubidas.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will pass this evening.
Mr. Lane.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. It's good to be back and see everybody. Haven't had a chance yet to publicly welcome and congratulate Mr. Shute joining us. Nice to see you. Welcome to council and hope you're having fun. And that'll pass.
Thank you, Mr. Lane. Mr. Marmy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll call a finance committee meeting for the 17th. Boy, did Sheets cause a ruckus for it. I bet great advertising as far as getting it out there, and it just drew all kinds of people with this 1776, $1.77.6. But anyway, I wish they'd give us a heads up. I think we could have maybe done a little bit different to help them with traffic control, as far as at least maybe putting some cones up or something. But I know some of it was taken care of, but boy, did it create a traffic stir and a buzz in Newark. And I thought it was kind of neat. So with that, I will pass.
Thank you, Mr. Marmy. Yeah, that was nice. I took both my vehicles up there yesterday. I felt like I got a pay raise yesterday. Our next meeting will be July 17th. And with that, do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Hauser, second by Mr. Lubidas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign, opposed.